Definition of God, the absolute truth, as explained in the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu calls Srimad Bhagavatam the Amara or spotless Puran because its prime subject matter is the glories of Sri Krishna and his unalloyed devotees. Other Puranas teach you how to make this material world more comfortable, how to go from class B jail to class A jail. But Srimad Bhagavatam teaches you how to get out of the jail, how to go back to the spiritual world. So when Srila Vyasadeva was feeling despondent despite writing immense Vedic literatures for different audiences, his Gurudev Sri Narad Muni told him that if you describe anything other than Krishna, it will only disturb your mind and body. So you should now glorify directly the Supreme Lord without any compromise. And thus, Srimad Bhagavatam was written by Srila Vyasadeva as his final Puran in his maturity, and it propounds the highest truth, which is reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all. Now, when Srila Prabhupada started translating Srimad Bhagavatam, he was not sure whether he will be able to finish all 12 cantos and even the first canto. So he put everything within the first 3 verses, which give a prelude to and are of foundational importance in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita explains that our spiritual philosophy is divided into 3 parts: Sambandha, Abhideya and Prayojan. And any scripture which does not talk about these 3 tattvas is not a perfect literature. And Srimad Bhagavatam covers all 3 points within its first 3 verses. So the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, which we are going to discuss today, gives us Sambandha Jnana by defining the absolute truth and revealing his greatness. So Sambandha means relationship between the Jiva, Jagadish and Jagat. So it helps us understand who we are, who is God, what is this world, and what is the interrelationship among these three. The second verse is the Abhideya, which gives us the process of bhakti and reveals the greatness of Srimad Bhagavatam. By hearing and discussing Srimad Bhagavatam, we can actually connect with that absolute truth. And the third verse is the Prayojan or goal, which is to attain Krishna Prem. This verse invites everyone to relish the nectarian sweetness of Krishna Katha in Srimad Bhagavatam. So with this context, let us all recite this first verse, and in the interest of time, we'll sing it together. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Janmadasya
Yatonayaditarata Chadesha Swarat Tene Brahma Hidaya Vikavaye Nuyanti Suraya Tejo Varimadam Yatha Vinimayo Yatra Trisarvo Mrishna Dhamnasena Sada Nirastakuham Satyam Param Dhimahi.
Translation by our beloved founder Acharya, His Divine Grace, Sri Srimad Abhay Charanaravindra Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. O my Lord Shri Krishna, Son of Vasudeva, O all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. I meditate upon Lord Shri Krishna because he is the absolute truth and the primeval cause of all causes of creation, sustenance and destruction of the manifested universes. He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations, and he is independent because there is no other cause beyond him. It is he only who first imparted Vedic knowledge unto the heart of Brahmaji, the original living being. By him, even great sages and demigods are placed into illusion, as one is bewildered by the illusory representations of water seen in fire or land seen on water. Only because of him do the material universes temporarily manifested by the reactions of the three modes of nature appear actual, although they are real. I therefore meditate upon him, Sri Krishna, who is eternally existent in the transcendental of life, is forever free from the illusory representations of the material world. I meditate upon him, for he is the absolute truth. So this first verse of Bhagavatam explains the meaning of absolute truth. It may seem a bit overwhelming, but actually it's very sweet and wonderful. Many acharyas have written elaborate commentaries on it. Srila Sridhar Swami, in his Bhavartha Dipika, points out that this verse begins with the Gayatri Mantra and is referenced in some of the oldest Puranas, including the Matsya Puran, thereby highlighting the authenticity of Srimad Bhagavatam. The first verse is so important that Srila Prabhupada's brilliant purport expounds on its every limb and is 8 pages long. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's Sarartha Darshan explains it in 5 different ways and is 23 pages long. And Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Maharaj during Vraj Mandal Parikrama had explained this single verse for a month. So Srila Jiva Goswami says that every verse of Srimad Bhagavatam can be expanded like a thread or rolled like a piece of cotton that can be held in your fingers. Now today, given our limited time together, we'll try to focus on some important points in Srila Prabhupada's purport. Srila Vyasadeva begins the epic Srimad Bhagavatam by invoking the glories of and offering his humble, respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Lord Vasudeva or Krishna through the invocation Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And now we'll look at each word individually. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 7.8, Pranavaha Sarva Vedeshwar, of all Vedic mantras, I am the syllable Om. Srila Prabhupada had said that if all the Vedas were to be put in one word, that word would be Om. Now Krishna is the fountainhead of all incarnations. Bhagavatam confirms, Ete Chamsha Kala Punsam Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. So Om is also Krishna, but an impersonal representation of Krishna. Bhagavate. As soon as the word Bhaga comes, immediately there are six opulences. All beauty, strength, knowledge, wealth, fame and renunciation. The Chaitanya Charitamrita says, Shad Aishwarya Purna Krishna Surya Upama. That Krishna is like the sun, full of six opulences, whereas the living entity is only a fragment of the complete whole. The name of the absolute truth is Vasudev, which means that he is present everywhere. He is within atoms and he is in the hearts of all living beings. As Krishna confirms in the Bhagavad Gita 15.15, when he says, Sarvasya Chaham Hridhi Sannivishtam. Now, obeisances unto Vasudev directly indicate Sri Krishna, because the absolute truth has innumerable names, and Krishna, which means all attractive, is the principal one, as confirmed in the Padma Purana. In the material world, we are attracted to a drop of the qualities that Krishna has an ocean of. Srila Prabhupada emphasizes in the purport that absolute truth is a person, he is not impersonal. The Samaved states that Krishna is the divine son of Devaki and Vasudev, and one of his names is Vasudev. Now, one of Krishna's plenary portions is also Vasudev, the quadruple expansions, but here it is specifically referring to Krishna as the original personality of Godhead. Now, sometimes impersonalists also use Vasudev in an impersonal sense, to mean all-pervading. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada clarifies that Vasudev is the personality of Godhead. Godhead means that he is the head of the 33 crore demigods, and personality means that he is a person. He has a beautiful form, Satchidananda Vigraha, and his name is Vasudeva. So this first verse is wonderfully describing that person and his characteristics. There are many verses glorifying Vasudeva in our scriptures, and we'll sing these two verses together. The Srimad Bhagavatam 1 to 28-29. Vasudeva Paraveda, Vasudeva Paramakha, Vasudeva Parayoga, Vasudeva Parakriya, Vasudeva Paramjnanam, Vasudeva Parantapaha, Vasudeva Parodharmo, Vasudeva Paragati. So these verses confirm that Vasudeva Sri Krishna is the supreme goal of life and the only object of worship. In the Bhagavad Gita, the same theory is confirmed by Sri Krishna when he says, Vedescha sarver ahameva, that the ultimate purpose of the Vedas is to know him only. And this understanding is extremely rare, as Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita 7.19. Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavanam prapadyate vasudevam sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabha. And after many births, one may finally come to the understanding that Vasudeva Sri Krishna is everything. We can understand this better with an analogy when we address the Prime Minister of India, for example. Om is like the government, Bhagavate is like the Prime Minister in the Parliament, and Vasudeva is like Sri Narendra Modi. So we are getting more and more personal from the impersonal. The first invocation of Srimad Bhagavatam declares that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, and Srila Prabhupada quotes many scriptures to prove this. Srila Jiva Goswami confirms this in his Krishna Sandarbha. Brahmaji says, Ishvara Parama Krishna in Brahma Samhita. Krishna himself says in Bhagavad Gita 7.7, Mattaha Parataram Nanyat, that there is no truth superior to me. Arjuna says it in Bhagavad Gita 10.13, Swam Rishaya Sarve, Devarshir Naradastata, Asito, Devalo, Vyasaha, Swam Chaiva Bhavishime, that all these learned sages agree that you are the supreme person, and now you yourself have confirmed it to me. Namo means I bow down, and in verse 18.65, Bhagavad's essence, as discussed last month, one of the four things that Krishna says is Manmana Bhava Bhakto Madhyaji Mamaskuru, that offer your obeisances unto me. Offering obeisances to Krishna is so important that the Srimad Bhagavatam begins and ends with offering obeisances. This is the last verse of Srimad Bhagavatam 12:13-23, and we all can sing it together. Nama Sankirtanam Yasya Sarvapapa Pranashanam Pranavadukha Shamanam Tam Namami Harim Param Tam namami harim param. I offer my respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Hari. Nama Sankirtanam, yes, the congregational chanting of whose holy names, Sarva Papa Pranashanam, destroys all sinful reactions, and Pranama Dukha Shamanam, offering obeisance unto whom relieves one of all material suffering. So the first line of Srimad Bhagavatam very simply defines God as the source of everything that exists and points to the all-encompassing nature of Bhagavatam's wisdom. This phrase, Janmadi Asya Yataha, is extremely significant because traditional Bhagavatam commentators have used it to establish the conclusion of Vedanta. It is also the first declarative statement of Vedanta Sutra, which is a concise form of all Vedic knowledge, whose author is also Vedavyas. So Vyasadeva himself wrote Srimad Bhagavatam as the natural commentary on the Vedanta Sutra to explain them fully because they are difficult to decode. Now the first aphorism of Vedanta Sutra is Anato Brahma Jignasa. Now that we have received this rare human life, the most developed consciousness, now is the time to inquire about the absolute truth. And who is the absolute truth? Janmadi Asya Yataha. He is the source of everything. So if someone asks us, what is the basis of our spiritual practice? It is Janmadi Asya Yataha. God is one from whom everything emanates. The origin of everything is life. Unfortunately, modern scientists think that the origin of life is chemical combination, but it is not a fact. They have given more than 20 theories on the source of everything. One of them is the Big Bang theory, but none of them have been accepted by any of the scientists. So the question is, Big Bang or Big Brain? Where did everything come from? And Srila Vyasadev's answer is that Vasudev is the supreme being who has created everything. Significantly, this phrase also refers to Vasudev as the primeval source of the phases of material existence. So creation is Janma and Adi refers to the maintenance and destruction of the innumerable material universes. Srila Prabhupada says in the purport that when one looks up at the night sky, one may wonder who has created this beautiful universe. And Srimad Bhagavatam gives a direct answer to all such inquiries with Janmadi Asya Yataha, that there is a supreme intelligence who is behind this complex cosmic creation. Srila Prabhupada gives a simple and clear example. Scientists put satellites in space and control them sitting on the earth. Similarly, Krishna has put innumerable planets in orbits and controls them sitting in Golok. So if the scientists say that the planets are functioning on their own, then the satellites should also be functioning on their own. Why are they being controlled from the earth? This means that control requires a controller. And Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that this nature is my nature. And Srila Prabhupada would catch that word me, which means mine. So in Bhagavad Gita 7.4, Krishna says, Bhumir apo no vayu khamam anabuddhirecha ahankara itiyam me vinna prakriti ashtava. 7.5, apareyam itaskanyam prakritim vidhi me param. Mayadhyakshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam, which is Bhagavad Gita 9.10. So Krishna is saying this material nature is one of my energies. It is working under my direction to produce all moving and non-moving beings and to create and destroy this material universe again and again. So this confirms that Krishna, though aloof from the activities of the material world, remains the supreme director. Now 10.8 Bhagavad Gita, which is one of the Chatushloki verses, says, Krishna says, Aham sarvasya bhavo matah sarvam pravidate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samandita. So Krishna confirms that I am the source of the material and spiritual world. Everything emanates from me. And knowing this, the wise devotees worship me with all their hearts. In 15.7 Bhagavad Gita, Krishna gives the identity of all living beings. He says, Mamayavamsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana, that we all are his eternal fragmental parts and parcels. So here we can consider an analogy wherein Krishna is compared to a gold mine and all other objects are compared to ornaments made of gold. So they are same in quality but different in terms of quantity. So inconceivably they are simultaneously one and different, which is the Achintya Bhed Abhed Tattva. In Bhagavad Gita 2.12, Krishna says that we all are eternally individuals in the past, present, and future. And this means that the absolute truth, Krishna, is also a person. Srila Prabhupada called it the cosmological approach. So, the father of your father of your father, going all the way back up, is it a point or a person? Srila Vyasadeva says that it is a person. The Vedic explanation is that everywhere there is a person. For example, different departments are headed by different people. Even automated cars, they have been created by a living person. They did not automatically come into existence. So this universe is created and is running like a well-oiled machine. It has been created by one living personality. Some scientists say that God is like a watchmaker who has created the watch and now it is running on its own. But Srila Prabhupada refutes this philosophy. The scientists can create watches, but those watches cannot produce new watches independently. Only the Lord's creation can produce on its own through male and female forms and produce new forms without the Lord's direct intervention. So after seeing the ridiculous propositions of atheistic scientists who have no understanding of what life is, any reasonable person will reject them. We cannot make up the truth ourselves. We should know which source to accept. So when we refer to the Vedas, the clarity is so high that there cannot be any ambiguity. Therefore, we should accept the authority of Veda Vyas, who has given satisfactory explanations for the creation and purpose of the universe as explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. The Katha Upanishad says, Nityo Nityanam Chetanam, that Krishna is the chief of all living entities. Krishna is the Adi Purush, and this word is very important because the first knowledge given by a guru to a spiritual seeker is about the source of all existence or Adi Purush. Now, without confidently accepting this truth, all spiritual activities will be eyewash. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada says in the introduction to the Bhagavad Gita that when one is beginning one's spiritual life, at least theoretically, we must accept that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That Krishna is the Supreme Original Person is repeatedly confirmed by many devotees throughout our scriptures, and we'll see a few examples here. So Kunti Maharani says in Bhagavatam 1:18, Namaste Purusham Tvadyam, that Krishna, you are the Supreme Original Person. Arjun says in Bhagavad Gita 10.12, Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram Param Bhavan, Purusham Shashwatam Divyam, Adidevam Ajam Vibhum, that you are the original person, you are the absolute truth, you are the Adidev. In Brahma Samhita 5.1, Brahmaji says, Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam, that Govinda is the original person and is the cause of all causes. Shri Bhishmadev says in Bhagavatam 9:18, Eshavai Bhagavan Sakshat Adyo Narayana Puman, that Krishna, you are the original person and you are the first Narayan. And the Lord himself tells Brahmaji in the Chatushloki Bhagavatam 2.9.33, Aham evasam evagre nayad yatsad asad param pashyad aham yadetacha yo avashishyeta sosmi aham. The Lord is saying that I alone existed before the creation, I exist after the creation, and continue to exist after destruction, thereby confirming that Krishna is the absolute truth in all circumstances. Now, both Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami and in Chaitanya Charitamrita and Srila Prabhupada explain that this verse stresses the personal feature of the Lord by emphasizing on the word aham thrice. Aham means I. In fact, in the second canto, the 5th chapter is entitled The Cause of All Causes, in which Narad Muni asks his father Brahmaji that when I look at this creation, everything appears to be in your grip, like an amalaka fruit held within your hand. It seems to me that you are controlling and managing everything. It appears to me that you are God, but I want to know, are you the ultimate cause? And Brahmaji chastises Narad Muni by saying only the foolish people call me God, and also praises Narad Muni saying that you have reminded me of my master, Vasudeva. So Brahmaji offers a beautiful prayer here, Bhagavatam 2.5.12. He says, Tasmai namo bhagavata vasudevaya dhimahi yanmaya durjaya mam vadati jagadguru. I offer my obeisances and meditate upon Vasudeva Krishna, whose invincible potency influences the less intelligent men to call me the supreme controller. So Srila Prabhupada quotes Janmadi Asyataha on many occasions to show that Krishna is that Vastav Vastu, real substance, from whom every other substance that we perceive and see emanates. There is nothing in existence that does not have its source in Krishna, but Krishna himself has no source. That is the meaning of absolute truth. The second characteristic of absolute truth is that he is abhidnya, he is the only knower of everything. He is not dull matter. Light or energy cannot be cognizant, and this confirms that the absolute truth is a person because he is fully cognizant. So Srila Prabhupada gives an example of the chief engineer of a large construction project. He is aware of all the minute details of that project. Similarly, the Lord, though not directly involved with the material world, controls everything and is aware of every nook and corner of his creation because nothing is separate from him. Anvayat Itarataha means that both directly and indirectly, Krishna is fully conscious of every aspect of the cosmic manifestation. Now, we all are also aware of our bodies. The embodied soul knows what is happening within the body to some extent. But Krishna, as Kshetranya, has complete knowledge of all bodies, as he confirms in Bhagavad Gita 13.3. Now, he is conscious directly because he is witness of everything as the super soul. Hence, he knows what each one of us are thinking at every moment, whether we are surrendered to him or not. And he is conscious indirectly because he has his representatives everywhere. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 13.14, Sarvadaha Panipadam Sarvato Akshi Shiromukham Sarvada Shrutimam Loke Sarvam Avritta Tishtati, that everywhere are his hands, legs, eyes, heads, faces, ears, and in this way the super soul pervades everything. Now we have knowledge about our specialized fields, but Krishna has complete knowledge of all fields. There is no limit to his knowledge. Unlike us, the Lord does not need to upgrade his knowledge or get CP credits. He does not need to launch new product updates or better versions of species. Whatever comes from him is complete. As stated in the Sri Ishopanishad, Om Purnamadaha Purnam. So the Lord has created a perfect system. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 7.26, Vedaham Spatitani Vartamanani Chajuna Bhavishyani Cha Bhuvani Mam Tu Vedana Kashtana. That Krishna knows everything that has happened in the past, that is happening right now, and that is yet to come. He knows all living beings, but nobody knows him. So there is an interesting story in the Mahabharata which demonstrates that Krishna is omniscient. When the Kauravas were losing the battle, one night Duryodhana approached Bhishma Dev and accused him of not fighting the battle to his full caliber because of his love for the Pandavas. And greatly insulted, Bhishma Dev created 5 arrows with his power and took a vow that the next day I will kill all the 5 Pandavas. So Duryodhana took those arrows in safekeeping and hid them under his pillow. And here in the Pandavas camp, Krishna became restless and he woke up Arjun, who was sleeping soundly. He told Arjun that Bhishma is going to kill you tomorrow. He has taken a vow to kill you. And he reminded Arjun that many years ago he had saved Duryodhana from the Gandharvas in the forest. And Duryodhana had given you a boon. So as instructed by Krishna, Arjun goes to Duryodhana that night and he reminds him of the boon and he asks for the 5 arrows. So Duryodhana is shocked, but being true Kshatriya, he is obliged to give the arrows. Now, this story reminds us that when the 5 arrows were created, only Duryodhana and Bhishma were present there. But Krishna knew about them because he knows everything. The third attribute of absolute truth is that he is the only fully independent being. He has supreme free will and he has no limitations. Atheists sometimes inquire that if God is the original father, who is the father of God? And the answer is God has no father. He is self-sufficient. He is Swarat. So from Brahma to an ant, we all have minute independence. And an example is given of a cow tied to a pole. She can move freely only within that radius. Similarly, we think that we are independent, but so many things in our lives are beyond our control. We are dependent on others in this world to live, but Krishna can independently create all the universes. He does not depend on anyone. Now, relative truths are sometimes true and sometimes false, being dependent on something else for their truth. For example, that a garden is blooming is certainly true in summer, but it is not absolutely true because in a different segment of time, such as now, it may not be true. But Krishna is the absolute truth, and this is always true in the past, present, and future. Krishna has created laws of material nature as governing forces, but he can also cause those laws to become suspended. Everything depends on him, not just material nature, but even Brahma Jyoti. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 14.27, I am the basis of impersonal Brahman. So Krishna is not controlled by anyone yet. He is controlled by the love of his pure devotees like Mother Yashoda. Now in this verse, two words, Abhinya and Swarat, are significant because they distinguish the Supreme Lord from all other living entities. No other living entity is either fully cognizant or fully independent. The fourth feature of the absolute truth is that he enlightens. Ene Brahma Hridaya Adhikave. He gives spiritual knowledge to Brahmaji, who is the secondary creator of the universe from within his heart. Now, Brahma is the best of creators, but even he was bewildered and he could not create till Krishna gave him inspiration from within his heart. So, carpenter creates, an ant creates, but just as Brahma was dependent on Krishna for his creation, all living entities or subsequent creators are dependent on Krishna for their creations. Krishna is in everyone's heart, but like Brahma, we have to become qualified to receive instructions from him. And what is that qualification? It is Bhakti Yoga, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 10.10. Tesham satayuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam namamupayantite. So those pure devotees who always serve Krishna with love and affection can hear him within their hearts. The fifth attribute of absolute truth is that he is difficult to understand even for demigods who are illusioned by his energies, and his sixth characteristic is that he is the ultimate foundation of this material world which is constantly changing. So this material world is a separated energy of Krishna, and Srila Prabhupada gives an example. When someone's voice is recorded, it is a separated energy of that person, but at the same time the person exists outside of that tape recording. In Bhagavad Gita 10.2, Krishna says, Nam vidu suraganaha prabhavana maharshaya aham adrihi devanam maharshinam cha sarvashaha. That neither the demigods nor the great sages know my origin or opulences, for in every respect I am their source. So it is not possible to understand Krishna by our mental speculation. We must learn about him only through Shabda Brahma, spiritual knowledge coming down in disciplic succession from Krishna himself. Tejo Varim Ridam Yatha. His body is thought to be made of matter due to illusion, just as one mistakes fire, earth and water for each other. For example, when we see a mirage in a desert, we think that there is water in the distance, but actually it is sand only. But we perceive water where it is not, because water exists somewhere. In our experience, we have seen water. Another famous example is in the Mahabharata, when Duryodhana at Indraprasth, he falls into water thinking that it is land. And Srila Jiva Goswami in the Shada Sandarbha gives an example that sometimes one mistake a rope for a snake. But this means that both the rope and the snake exist somewhere. So it is due to reality that illusion exists. Similarly, we experience so many things in the material world in an illusory way. Love, peace, relationships, happiness. We are trying to take these concepts and put them in the world of matter where they don't exist. And this specifically is our illusion. So the material world of relativity is a shadow. The main substance is in the spiritual world, which is the reality. Now, because the spiritual world is real, everything everything appears factual in the material world, although it is not. So that which is unreal is made to appear real, and that is the masterful potency of the Supreme Lord. For example, when an adult watches a movie, he knows that it is artificial, but if it is well made, he gets engrossed in it. He forgets that he is watching a movie. In the same way, the more we become absorbed in something is an indication of the finesse of the Creator. Similarly, although a detached person should be able to see that this world is illusory, people cannot because of the supreme expertise of Krishna. So you may have a question, why does the Lord make the unreal seem real? And the simple answer is because that is what we want. We wanted to enjoy separately from Krishna, but Krishna is so kind that he creates this material world and he gives us all facilities to enjoy for our desires. But at the same time, he sends his devotees and scriptures hoping that we want to go back to Godhead. Absolute truth reciprocates with our desires. If we want liberation, he offers liberation. If we want to be entangled, he makes the material world appear so attractive that we get entangled in it. The choice is always ours. It may seem a little contradictory. First, it is said that absolute truth gave knowledge to Brahma, and then it is said that absolute truth deludes demigods. So, the purpose of the Supreme Lord is not to bewilder, it is to illuminate. But his position is so exalted, so magnificent, so incomprehensible that even demigods become confused by it. And there are many examples, such as Indra during the Govardhan Puja or the Brahma Vimohan Leela, where Lord Brahma became bewildered. Now, there are different flavors of bewilderment, and depending on what flavor one is bewildered in, he is put into that kind of species. So one may become a demigod, a human being, or an animal and starts identifying himself with that material body. In the 12th canto, during the Bhumi Geet, Mother Earth is lamenting for all the kings who were bewildered, thinking that this land belonged to them. But all of them had to depart after some time, leaving the land to someone else. They did not understand that the Lord is the proprietor of everything. Isha Vasyam Idam Sarvam, as stated in the Ishopanishad. So if you keep watercolors and water separately, there are no emotions. But when you combine them to form a beautiful painting, then emotions are aroused. Similarly, Tejo, Vari, Mridam are all matter. But when they are combined using the three modes and made into 14 planetary systems and 8.4 million species, that can thoroughly bewilder even the greatest of sages, such as Vishwamitra, Durvasa, Bhrigu, and Saubhari Muni. So this indicates that nobody in this world is so powerful that they cannot be subjected to illusion. But by surrendering to Krishna alone, one can escape from the clutches of his Maya, as Krishna confirms in Bhagavad Gita 7.14. Devī esha gunamayi maya duratteya nam eva e prapadyante mayametam karantite. So Srimad Bhagavatam right in the first verse is showing us the nature of the material world. Happiness here. The sooner we accept it, the more peaceful we'll become. Krishna, who has designed this material world, has said that it is Dukkhalayam Shashvatam. There is a beautiful verse which Prahlad Maharaj speaks to Narasimha Dev in the 7th canto. I will just read one line of it. Kamanam Madhulavai Shamayam Durapai. So in this material world, every living entity wants some future happiness, which is exactly like a mirage in the desert. Where is water in desert, or where is happiness in the material world? As of this body, what is its value? It is just a source of various diseases. And so many scientists and politicians all know this, but they still aspire for temporary happiness because they are unable to control their senses, and they never come to the right conclusion. So this is very powerful. Unlimited diseases can come onto this body, but we still don't understand that it is full of miseries because of Kamanala, because of the blazing fire of material desires. And what happiness do we get? Madhulaya, just like a few drops of honey. Now Prahlad Maharaj is telling this in the context of Mahabharata Udyog Parva, where Mahatma Vidur tells a story to Dhritarashtra. Once in a forest, a king was being chased by a tiger with 3 cubs, and while running, he fell down into a deep dark well, and at the bottom of that well there was a crocodile waiting to eat him. And while falling down, he got stuck on a branch that was growing in that well. And in that position, there is a snake approaching him, and a black and white rat are eating away at that branch which is about to break. And on top of this, when he fell on a beehive, and now all those bees are stinging him. So can we imagine this situation? He is in so much pain, he is miserable, but at that time, some drops of honey start trickling down from the beehive, and he extends his tongue to catch those drops. And every time a drop of honey falls on his tongue and he feels, yes, now I am happy. So Mahatma Vidur is telling us that this king is like all of us who are trying to be kings in this material world. So the tiger represents lust, which is chasing us. The three cubs are anger, greed, and illusion. The crocodile represents death. The snake represents time. The black and white rats are the day and night. The bees stinging him are all the miseries that we go through in our lives. And that drop of honey is our so-called happiness for which we are suffering because of our material desires. So in the entertainment industry, they focus and zoom in on that drop of honey and they downplay the miseries. Such cheating is going on to convince us that we can be happy in this material world. Bhagavad Gita 2.52, Krishna says that we can reach him only when our intelligence has passed out of the dense forest of illusion. And Srimad Bhagavatam is our best friend who can tell us how to get out of this forest. So 6 qualities of the Lord have been discussed in the first 3 lines, more or less in relation to his material energies. But apart from the material realm, he exists in the spiritual world, which is Vaikuntha, Golok, Vrindavan. It is never subjected to destruction and is beyond the influence of time and the modes of material nature. So it does not have to create the spiritual world. It is permanently existent and Krishna eternally resides there. In this eternal abode, illusion is completely absent because everyone is constantly in touch with Lord Vasudeva. So as long as we have illusory attachments, we cannot go there. But once we reach it, we will never come back to this material world as promised by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita 15.6. Na tadbhasayate suryo na shashanko na bhavakaha yadgatana nivartante dhamma paramahama. So his eternal abode is self-sufficient. There is no need of sun or fire or moon or electricity. In Bhagavad Gita 8.15, Krishna says, Mam upetya punarjanma dukkhayam ashashvatam napnuvanti mahatmanas siddhim paramam gataha. That after attaining me, my pure devotees never return to this material world which is full of miseries. So Srimad Bhagavatam gives us many detailed descriptions of the Lord's eternal abode. In fact, in the 3rd canto, the 15th chapter is entitled Description of the Kingdom of God. I have included a few verses here which give us a glimpse of that extraordinary place. So 3:15-13 says that in the spiritual sky there are spiritual planets known as Vaikunthas where the Supreme Lord and his devotees reside. And in the Vaikuntha planets, all residents are similar in form to the Supreme Lord and they worship him without desire for sense gratification. So they are Anya Abhilashya Shunyam. In the Vaikuntha planets, there are many auspicious forests which are full of desert trees. Everything in Vaikuntha is spiritual and personal, and this is very important. Personal. Each one of us has a unique relationship. In 9.22 Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Ananyas chintayanto mam yajana pari upasate tisham nityaviyuktanam yogakshemam vahami aham. That for his pure devotees deserves what they have and he personally carries to them what they lack. So Srimad Bhagavatam will gradually instruct us and purify us, and therefore the Gayatri mantra is next. So Srimad Bhagavatam begins with Upanishadic tone, which refers to absolute truth more in generic terms rather than specific, in terms of his greatness and all-pervasiveness. Features can be characterized as Rup Lakshan primary and Thasta Lakshan, which indicate his activities. So the primary features of the Lord are his Akriti, form, and Prakriti, nature. So his form is as Vasudev or Krishna, and Satyam Param is also a Swarup Lakshan because it indicates his nature. So Satyam is truth which is unchangeable, whose promise remains at all times, in past, present, and future. And Param, all other truths depend on him. Nobody is higher. So the Lord is Asamurdha. There is no one equal to or greater than Lord. Satyam Param is the supreme truth. Now Srila Prabhupada explains that difference between God and absolute truth. Ishwar or controllers can be many. Parameshwar or supreme controller is only one. Now absolute truth indicates the summum bonum, the ultimate source of all energies. And this is the foundation of Srimad Bhagavatam. In Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 2nd chapter, the demigods offered prayers known as Garbhastuti to Lord Krishna who was in the womb of Mother Devaki. And they glorified Krishna in his ways as the personification of Supreme Truth. So we'll sing this verse together, Bhagavatam 2:26. Satyavratam satyasya yonim netam cha satye Satyamrita Satyanekam Satyatmakam Tvam Sharanam Prapanna. So it's a translation, but Krishna is being glorified as the supreme truth, active principle, the real truth, Antaryami, the beginning of all truth. You never deviate from your vow. You are present in the three phases of the cosmic manifestation. The Thakur explains that Satya Sayonim indicates that or the origin of all incarnations. The Brahma Samhita states that there are many incarnations who are compared to lamps, but Krishna is the first lamp. Now Krishna's name is Satya, and Srila Vyasadeva is referring specifically to Krishna when he says Satyam Param Dhimahi, which also indicates that we should search for the absolute truth, not the relative truth. Srila Prabhupada points out that unscrupulous people go directly to the 10th canto, which describes the Lord's intimate pastimes with the gopis. But first we must understand how great the Lord is by systematically studying. One takes the darshan of the Lord beginning from his lotus feet. One has to gradually develop spiritual realization, and therefore Vyasadeva purposely invokes the Gayatri mantra Dhimahi for us to get purified. Dhimahi means not just I meditate, but that we all are meditating. So instruction is being given to jivas, all jivas in the past, present and future, that we should meditate on. And the answer is because our main problem is Krishna Vimukh. We have turned our faces away from Krishna. And therefore right in the first verse, Bhagavatam is giving us the solution that we must meditate on Krishna by following the 9 processes of bhakti. This first verse boldly declares that Krishna is the supreme absolute truth who will be discussed in the subsequent thousands of verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. The first verse clearly demonstrates that Krishna is authorized and has a scientific basis. It is not sentimental. Srimad Bhagavatam introduces us to Krishna, his personality, his qualities, to counteract the fatigue of material existence and to attract us to his eternal abode. Therefore, we should make Srimad Bhagavatam a part of our daily routine so that by Punya Shravan Kirtan, we can fix our minds at his lotus feet. Another key takeaway is that we must make it our daily practice to offer a certain number of obeisances to Krishna, one or more, following in the footsteps of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan who did Sankhya Purvaka Naman Ganativi. They bow down to the Lord and his devotees every day. Our goal is Samsiddhir Hari Bhushan, please Krishna, for which we need 3 things. We need a desire to please Krishna, and we can practically apply this verse by praying to Krishna. Shri Gaur Nitai Ji, praying to Krishna that you know everything, you know my innermost desire also. So please spiritualize my desire and give me a desire to serve you. We need a strong sense of discrimination to know what is right and what is wrong. So Krishna, you enlighten from within the heart. So please help us understand what to do and what not to do. Even great sages are bewildered by your mind. So Krishna, please help us not to get the illusion. And once we know what is favorable, we need strong determination to pursue it. So Krishna, please give us the determination to surrender to you so that we may be freed from the three modes controlling us. In this, by understanding this verse, we can translate every line into personal prayer to Krishna. Now, the supreme truth can be understood by the supreme method as declared by the supreme self in Bhagavad Gita 18.55. Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yacha asmi tatvatah. That you can understand Krishna in truth in the first verse of Bhagavatam only through bhakti. Consciousness is the elevator and other paths are taking the stairs. Therefore, intelligent persons should take to Bhakti Yoga, which is the most sublime and easiest process. Therefore, let us take to Krishna Bhakti, which is joyous now and forever, with all sincerity and seriousness, and make Krishna the center of our lives. The first expansion from absolute truth, Sri Krishna, is Lord Balaram, and Srila Narottam Das Thakur sings, Vrajendra Nandana Ye Sachi Sutta Hailo Se Balaram Hailo Nitai. So the son of Sachi is none other than Krishna, and Nityanand Prabhu is Ram. As we know, tomorrow is the most auspicious appearance day of Sri Nityanand Mahajan, whose lotus feet are soothing like the moonlight of millions of moons. Nitai Padakamala Koti Chandra Sushitala. So please do join us tomorrow to celebrate Sri Nityanand Prabhu and to receive the unlimited blessings of our most merciful Shri Gauratai. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.